And we're live. Hello, and welcome back to the Business Octopus. Let me put my little banner up there. Hello. How you going, Amanda?
Fabulous. And yourself, Avon.
Well, happy Friday. It's now
Yes.
like eight o'clock, and we've been up since 5 with like 3 different calls, and here we are on our live stream. So maybe a little bit behind the 8 ball, I don't know, but I guess it's pertinent that we're talking about time zones and working across them. So I think that we tend to talk about things that are salient or top of mind, like at the time. So what's the
Yes.
problem we had to deal with? What's the frustration we're feeling, or what's the opportunity that we're seeing? So what about time zones got it into your head today?
Well, you know what? So I'm used to doing early mornings, like you said, Avon. So, maybe from 4:30, 5 a.m. to work with US clients. This week I had a 1 a.m. And I don't know about you, but so I got up, I did my 1 a.m. for 45 minutes. I went back to bed. I didn't sleep before the call because the call's coming. I didn't sleep after the call because I had a 5:30 a.m. So I just had a really terrible night. And I love my sleep. I'm either this speed or like asleep. So when I've had a terrible sleep, I feel like on the outside I'm firing on all cylinders. I'm still like this, but my brain's just not. It's just not as whip sharp as it could be.
You can't react, you can't concentrate, or you'll have a thought and you'll lose track, or you sit there
100%.
and you go, I know I should know this thing, but why can't I get it out of my head?
Literally. Yeah, you cannot find the words it's like, I want to tell Avon something and I can't articulate the thing. So it does slow you down mentally. Even if you're still putting in the hours, it can affect you. So, yeah, I think just a great idea to unpack some strategies, because I know so many of us are working across time zones because right here we can deal with people all over the world with such ease. It's just a matter of pressing a button or clicking a link, and we can be talking to anyone anywhere. So Avon, how about yourself? What's your experience with it all?
It's never been easier to go global with the not only the internet here, but the accessibility of flights. So there's more and more planes being produced. There's more than 1 million people in the air at any one time. There is now currency conversion platforms that make it really easy. And now language is no excuse, because we have AI translation between not only from a text basis, but from a real-time, sometimes voice-to-voice conversation, with like Google Glass and those Meta glasses and all of that sort of thing. So the only problem now, the only roadblock really is the time zone. So like you say, with the sleep thing, I had the same thing on a Wednesday night. And with the time zones changing, the daylight savings time.
Yes.
So like what before was manageable, which was a 11 p.m. till 12 p.m. or to midnight call, is now a midnight to 1 a.m. call. And then where I was getting 5 hours sleep, which is somewhat manageable, now I'm getting 4 hours sleep between my next 5 a.m. call. So it's really one of the only limitations to being able to do effective, international business. So managing your energy is really important, but also being efficient with a couple of things. So I think it's really important to call out, like, doing international business is transformative for any business, because you reach such a larger market. And it's really important to build that rapport and that relationship. So yes, unfortunately, sleep comes at a bit of a sort of second priority, when, particularly as an entrepreneur, when you're trying to grow your business. When you run, like if you're an employee or you're trying to hire for an employee to go and do this job, you have to take that into consideration to go, all right, well, if they're going to be late night on this night of the week, that they get, they don't start work until 5 p.m. or something.
Yes. Yeah. So we need to treat ourselves with the same consideration, right?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm a big fan of, like early on, you've got to make those moves. You've got to do that work to really drive that business growth. It's not going to happen with anybody else sitting there. You've got to actually have the chutzpah and drive to make something happen. So I think it's worth it, but obviously delegating is a lot harder. But there are a few things to make it a bit easier and more manageable. One of which is just really leaning into all of the asynchronous tools. We sit here, we're on a call at the same time, but there's nothing wrong with sending a Loom or a StreamYard or some kind of video recording to that person. The biggest problem is the delay. If I send an email and you're working in complete opposite time zone, you probably won't read it till 12 hours later. Then you send a reply, then I won't read it till 12 hours later. So there's a full 24 hours until you actually get that kind of message. The other option is you use like a WhatsApp or a Teams or a Telegram or something. We have those instantaneous comms. But again, if I'm like, yes, I answer calls in the morning, but if I'm asleep, I don't see it. I've got my notifications.
100%. And I think it's important because of that delay, you just need to give things a little bit more time. So for example, something that Avon and I might achieve in 2 days in the same time zone, we might need to allow maybe 3 or 4 days because of the time difference with a bit of to and fro. Would you say that's fair, Avon?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you really need to set up and rely on a local champion, someone who is able to make decisions in that time zone, is able to, pick up the torch and run with it, really understand what it is you're trying to do. And they kind of have to intuitively act on your behalf and be able to make decisions without you and without having to consult with you all the time. So actually content like this really helps, where you can kind of have, what's your understanding, what's your kind of, what's your sort of like intent for the business and what you're trying to achieve, so that they can show initiative and actually make things happen. We do have a couple of conversations. So we say, can you read what I say next? Unlikely.
That depends.
Worth listening to. So let's hear what you have to say first. But yeah. So basically having someone that you can pretty much run a decent business with and have complete faith in. So that is a lot of trust. You might have to go there in the first instance to build those relationships and that rapport before you allow someone the keys to your business when in your absence, basically.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that you set those team members up for success with some, like, give them resources like videos like this, give them a playbook, make sure they understand, if I'm acting on behalf of Avon, if I'm acting on behalf of Amanda, what would they do in this particular situation? So making sure they have all the resources to be able to make those decisions.
Yeah. Well, just for reference, we won't be saying what old mate asked for us to say.
No.
Anyway, so we've got all right. The other one I would say is setting a schedule. Like a lot of the times when we have very little time or that inability to sort of react to things, and like we have to kind of plan for our sleep and our rest. You can't just go, all right, well, I'll get the call in the middle of the night, because even if you get a call and you're going to be groggy and you're not really going to know which way is up and you're not going to have that ability to concentrate.
Yeah.
So it's much better to set a schedule to say, yes, I get up at this time every week to make time for those calls or to make time for that conversation or answer those questions. So that becomes more sorry, I'm just watching what old mate's saying. Anyway, so the funny things you get on the internet when you go live, hey? So
absolutely.
Anyway, we've got having that time where you can plan your sleep. And you might say, all right, well, I'm going to get up at 5 for these calls, or 4 or 3 or 2 or whatever, but then plan like a good solid nap or some kind of sleep in the middle of the day, and then go to do your back half. So it may mean that you sacrifice some working hours in your home time zone, but you're trying to build another market. Like in Australia, we have 26 million people. In the US, they have 380 million people. So if I spend the time when doing the work, then I'm probably going to access a bigger market. So the trade-off, short-term pain, long-term gain, I think it's worth doing.
So, absolutely. Just be smart about it. Work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go now to working asynchronously. What are some ways that you would do that?
So, big one, I think, and even I won't take credit for this, having an asynchronous document. So we have quite a few clients in the US. So we use Aligned, which is deal room software, but we also use it for project management with our clients. So if we're building out courseware or we're building out an onboarding program, whatever it might be, we will create asynchronous documents, tag them in the Aligned room, and they come in, they leave their comments, they make their changes. And then when myself and my team get up in our time zone, our US clients, our UK clients have been working hard for us overnight, and we just pick it up, run with it, make the changes, send it back to them. So that is actually really effective, which has been amazing. I guess like WhatsApp, we use asynchronously as well. I just make sure that I sort of, stop looking at it at maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night, depending on what we're working on, and then pick it up at 7 o'clock the next morning. Just don't sort of get into the habit, I guess, of checking it through the night. It would be my recommendation, because that's no sleep.
Well, the other option or the other benefit, I guess, to us, who run like an IT related company. So if we build a market in that time zone and they're in their daylight hours, that then gives us 24 hours support, which is actually really hard to stand up. Like if you think you're going to sit there and offer 24/7 support, it's either going to be, if you do it with 3 people in 8-hour shifts, what happens if someone's sick? What happens if someone can't make it? Now someone's got to do a 16-hour or a 24-hour shift. That's not viable. And then you might need multiple resources with multiple skills. So if you stand up in another area, then you've got the ability to create like daylight hours over there, which then means that you might have multiple resources at that time who then collaborate with each other, on the rotation. So you can have 24/7 support if you've got 2 markets, because otherwise you're hiring 3 people to be on a shift with through the middle of the night to maybe receive 1 or 2 tickets. That's a lot of money,
right,
for not a lot of return. So it's much better if you can have a market that's fully operational in that time. That way they're awake, they're on, they're mentally like ready to go, they're fresh because it's their awake hours. Whereas if you have people that on this side of the world that are doing night shift, then they're tired, they're over it, they need to rotate out to have a daytime life as well. And then basically it becomes more like a HR problem and a thorn in your side, trying to deal with those people and keep them happy and keep them long-term engaged. They probably want extra money. So build a market in another region if you want to do 24-hour operations. It's far, far better than just trying to take the hit financially.
Absolutely. And that's something that you're championing at the moment, Avon, which is really cool.
Working hard on it, yes.
Nice. Well, fantastic.
I think we've covered most of what we need to cover. We have our hecklers from the sidelines, so time to and I can't actually ban them. So we've been playing with a few new features in StreamYard. You might have to do it from your side. It's actually coming from your account. So if you go in on the back end, you can block and ban. It's coming from the mobile form factor. So basically, the new feature we're trying. If you're watching this, you might be watching it from a desktop with a side-by-side, or you might be watching us from a mobile in a vertical format. So it was a feature just rolled out this morning, and obviously people sitting on the mobile, they sit there, they they interact. It could be on their couch or whatever, bored between something at the bus stop or whatever. So it makes it easier to get hecklers instead of intentional viewers. So, however, we need to suffer the good with the bad and get new audience. So for anybody who's watching on the mobile form factor today, we do appreciate you. That
Absolutely.
would be Facebook or on YouTube. Unfortunately, we can't multi-stream or multi-format streaming into LinkedIn just yet. It's one or the other. But we're here. We're done. Thank you for watching. You stay classy, and we'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time.